I became a member of the first committee. The committee, a fairly protean group of people, was constantly changing shape as people came in and people went. And Richard's practice was to invite anybody, more or less, that he came across who we thought might be interested to come and join us. The result, you might have thought, was rather like a camel, the definition of which has been a horse, which is designed by a committee. You look at a camel and you might think, what a bit of a mess of an animal this is. However, if you consider the camel is ideally suited for the environment in which it lives. It has these huge hooves which can walk on sand. It has a hump which can store energy. It can go for days without water. And it is a perfect beast of burden. So don't knock the camel. Think of the camel as being something which can do wonders. And a committee of committed people. And I prefer the word committed, I think, to passionate and talented. Passion and talents really need harnessing, but committed, a committed committee, which might sound a bit like a repetition, can work wonders. Well, what did we do in the early stages? We had to invent things, discover things, produce events that encourage people to speak English, because the mission statement of the English-speaking union in those days was to foster global communication through the use of the English language. Now, a number of schools in Chile which call themselves British, some of them are to a greater or lesser extent, and others in which English is given a high priority, produced pupils to take part in competitions, and it was mainly competitions to begin with. And then when it came to the point where we had to produce our own funding, the British Council gave us some funding to begin with, and then said we had to set up on our own. So we thought, right, how do we raise money? And this is where one of the, to me, the most important things in which I was involved came into being, which was with great pleasure. This is a very simple format of a bunch of people getting together and doing stuff in English that they liked. We were very fortunate here in that Howard Drake, who had then become British ambassador, offered us the use of the ambassadorial residence to do this in. Of course, the ambassador's residence, that is a big draw, and people were keen to flock to this in considerable numbers, and also to pay considerable sums of money to view this. And I remember the first one of these. It was an idea that Philip had, as he had played the main part in a production of The Importance of Being Earnest some years previously. And I'd had a very small part in this play, the part of Lane, butler, manservant. And Philip had the idea of reproducing an early scene from the play, and it was he, Paul Norris, and myself who enacted this scene. We hadn't really rehearsed it very much, and it was complete chaos, and we ended up by ad-libbing shamelessly. And it was actually a hilarious exercise. Philip thought I'd be very cross because I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to dramatic things, but I was in the onda really of enjoyment. So we threw this thing around, and it was tremendous. I went down a bomb. With great pleasure, went on to be an annual event. And in 2010, the year of the big earthquake, when we were asked how we could help with earthquake relief, I said, well, how about putting on, with great pleasure, as a fundraiser, one in Santiago and one in Viña. I was living in Viña at the time. And the idea was that we should do this, and we should encourage people to come. We would not charge an entrance fee, but we'd ask people to donate either in cash or in kind. There was one gentleman in Viña who gave a check for 1 million pesos for that event. I said, are you sure you haven't put too many noughts in your sum? He said, Dick Phillips, a lovely man, he said, well, I haven't got much longer to live, and I've got some money, and I would rather give some of it away to a worthy cause. Thus it was. And the encouragement that we received from people who were not part of the English-speaking union, but who were on the fringe or beyond the fringe of it, was most encouraging. And yes, there was passion and there was talent in those days. It was brought to bear on a number of things. Another activity which I became involved in, and here again it's because of what I do, it was decided to have a competition of duologues, short conversations between two people on no particular subject. And this was so successful it went national. We had the national competition to coincide with the official launch of the ESU in Chile. and there were children from all over the country, from Arica to Punta Arenas, who were performing duologues in this competition, and an audience composed of the great and good of the English-speaking Union from all over the world. There are no limits, really, to what you can do when you set your mind to it. And I would only want to encourage anybody who has any interest in taking part in something of this sort to get involved. If you have talent, if you have passion, that is terrific. And if you can bring some commitment to bear on the work that you're about, go for it. And all the best to you.